well, if we're honest, family isn't easy, and I think we all have an opinion on what family is, but I think it's so important that we look really at what God's opinion is on marriage. You know, Psalms 133 says, when we walk in unity, that there is a commanded blessing. And so if God's perspective is unity and blessing, then we know the enemy's whole thing is to just divide us and to separate us. So I think it's important for us as a marriage, as a family, that a healthy family has to start with a healthy marriage, because that's where it all begins for our kids and for us. And so I think that's where we have to focus in on this season right now, or in this lesson about unity. So I just want to ask the question of maybe some expectations as we come into marriage, as we came into marriage. What are some expectations that we had going into marriage? Pastor Bob, I'm going to start with you. You've been married the longest.
The longest, 41 years. I had some expectations. You know, my mother always served me. I mean, meals all the time, taking care of us, serving me all the time. And I kind of came to marriage like, hey, you're supposed to cook meals for me, and you're supposed to serve me, and you're supposed to do for me. And I couldn't be any more wrong than I was at that moment. And I had to shift my expectations because of what I experienced growing up with my mom and being served. Instead, learning that it was my job to serve her.
Right. But from a woman's perspective, some different expectations that you thought coming into a marriage.
Well, I think you can't help but take your parents' marriage and overlay that as your expectation. Right. So my parents are both very strong and very independent. And so they would go, all day not talking to each other. They still do. Don't know where the other one is. Don't know when they're going to see each other again. They just show up and it's time for bed some days, And I always got tickled about that, but I didn't know anything different until I met Stacy. And I remember we were just dating, but seriously dating. And I was supposed to come over to his apartment, and we were going to leave and go to dinner. And I didn't show up when he thought I should have. And I remember him getting so upset at me. And I said, well, I was just visiting with my roommates, at college. I didn't know that it was a hard and fast time. And he's like, you have to do what you say you're going to do. He wanted dinner at 5 o'clock every night. We didn't eat dinner in my house till 9 or 10 o'clock at night because we were at church most of the time, evening things going on. So it was a very different dynamic. I'm like, why is everything so rigid with him? He wanted to know what he could expect, right? And so I think that there was it was a big learning curve. That was 30 years ago. But, we still have things where I'm like, that isn't the way I would do things. And he does them very differently because his parents did them differently.
It's huge. I know, Ryan, you have a pretty amazing story on just your marriage. You got famous with it almost, with just how you did the whole thing. I know you probably had some expectations and stuff, but I think it's pretty amazing how I think you intentionally served your wife in this, and just kind of share a little bit of that story of how you even did that. And
when my wife and I were dating, I overheard her tell a friend she thought it would be cool to get engaged and married on the same day. And so for 2 years, I planned a surprise wedding. And so
there's a book about it, by the way, called The One. And it tells the whole story. It's a great book.
It tells the story. And we would totally rewrite that book right now.
You would?
Oh, yeah. I mean, we wrote that book year 1 in marriage, giving relationship advice. Year 11, we'd probably say a few different things. I think the expectations that we both had going into marriage were a little bit different because I knew a wedding was coming and she didn't.
And so,
but inevitably, I think I expected it to be easier. We've had to learn each other's pace, and we've had to learn that unspoken expectations cannot be met. So sometimes you just harbor your expectations, and you're expecting your spouse to be clairvoyant or prophetic, or that God will just speak to them in the night and tell them what's wrong. What we've had to learn to do even with the help of, mentors, pastors, therapy, if you will, is to be able to say, hey, here's what's going on with me, and I want you to know.
Mm-hmm.
And here's what I'm feeling. And I'm a big fan of trying to elevate communication in a family or in a marriage. And the phrase that we like to use a lot is the phrase, I could be wrong. I could be wrong. If you start off a conversation with I could be wrong, I believe what that does is it immediately makes space
Really
for the
good.
other person's
Right.
story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that's how we approach each other. And it's been very healthy in that way to be able to say, hey, I could be wrong, but this is what I'm picking up when you travel.
Mm-hmm.
Or this is what I'm seeing from you as a parent. Or, hey, I could be wrong, but this is where I think we are financially, and so we're able to make this decision, but not able to make this decision. And I'm very complicated to be married to. So my next book is How to Work with Complicated People. I would write How to Be Married to Complicated People, but it would be very, very hypocritical because I'm the complicated person in our marriage. But I have what my friends call selective frugality. So which means I'm on a budget depending on what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Depending
Does
on
that
what
make
kind of
sense?
shoes you're getting.
Exactly. It's just like, so it's like we could go stay at a villa in another country, but I'm going to CVS to get water. I'm like, I'm not paying $10 a water bottle in this room. She's like, why did we come to this villa if we're just going to be at CVS, in Mexico?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
hey, we're selective. So I think for us, being able to just approach each other and not harbor.
Yeah.
Not hold these, they're not even secrets. They're just private feelings that you can hold on to for years.
Yeah.
And then they come out and you're like, what? You should have said something in 2017.
That hits, that's what communication is so important. And I think when we do like marriage counseling or whatever it may be, so many people are like, well, I didn't even know that we were at this stage in life that you wanted to get a divorce, because there was no communication, because we hold those feelings in.
That's the key to all of it. It's really open and honest communication in love.
Yeah.
Early on when Charlotte would say things to me, I'd get offended.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And go, why would you say that about me? Or what? But I've learned over the years that she wants the best for me.
Yeah.
And that I trust what she says. And so, I choose to go, she wants to help me.
Yeah.
And she doesn't want you to be misunderstood by other people.
Right.
Because she knows your heart.
Right, yeah, because she knows my heart more than anybody.
Yeah.
And I can just tell you, she's been the greatest counsel for me. And I've learned to trust what she says, and it's changed the way. I'll give you a quick example. I know because of my height and my gray hair and my position, and I look like this a lot, and I can come across intense when I don't mean that at all. And she'll sit after a conversation, she goes, listen, we talked about good things, but you're a little intense. And I go, what are you talking about? And then she'll say, you're a little intense. And I've learned to go, you know what? I have to be conscious and receive what she tells me, because I know she loves me, and I know she wants the best for me.
Yeah.
And, when she says it, I'll go, okay, I can receive that.
Yeah.
And vice versa, we'll sit down and have a conversation about things.
Yeah.
And I'll say, listen, this is what I saw, or that really bothered me. Let's talk about it.
Yeah.
Instead of us blowing up and holding on to it, and then we explode, at a moment, right?
Or it just gets to a place that it's too late.
Right.
And I think that's why it's so important that we have programs, our marriage programs like Renew and stuff, that give that place for communication and teach us really how to communicate with our spouse. Because I'm not a huge communicator, right? I'll just kind of like you said with you and Pastor Charlotte, like in the beginning, you kind of shut down. That's how I am. If Ashley's not getting on to me, but if we're having a conversation, I'll just kind of shut down and just listen. Right, I don't communicate right away because I might not have the words to say. But Renew, right? It opens those places for that, where we can really start diving into what are some of the issues in our marriage, and where do we go? I know that's big on your heart, Renew. You helped start that program.
And
here.
people have asked me, well, what's the magic of Renew? It's so people tell how great it is, and it really changed things. And they say, what are you teaching? I go, it's not anything I'm teaching. I said, it's the fact that they get to talk and be
Yeah.
open and honest. And guess what? They already have the answer in them.
Yeah.
If they'll just listen to what God is telling them, and they'll flesh through and get to the answers. And I tell our leaders all the time in Renew, you're not their answer.
Yeah.
Stop trying to be their answer. They will discover the answer when they actually talk about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's part of the secret to it.
Yeah. And get real and honest.
I think schedule is underrated in marriage. To be able to say, because my wife loves to just process and talk through things, and I'm not always in the space to do that. And sometimes I could be getting off a plane and she's giving me a recap of things, and I'm like, I don't know, this is the best time for me to absorb the recap or to talk about the future or what have you. But one of the things that my counselor, he advised me to do is he said, hey, one of the things that you did when you were dating that a lot of couples stop doing when they get married is get coffee. Hey, can we go sit at Starbucks? Can we go to a coffee shop and schedule a conversation? And hey, here's what I'd like to talk about. And then hey, it's going to be Friday at 2:00. It's like I've learned for me, it's like, hey, if I know a conversation's coming, I'm like, oh, I can prepare for that. It's like, oh yeah, on Friday, hey, we're gonna talk about our portfolio, or hey, we're gonna talk about the kids, or the kids are starting school, but we've set aside time to talk about it. Whereas if it bubbles up and it's just like, hey, I've been needing to talk to you, it's like I almost get allergic in those moments. I'm like, wait a minute, why are we talking about this this very moment? You know, the NBA Finals is like, this is not the best time right now. You know?
Yeah, and then it turns into an argument about, well, am I not important to you? More important than the NBA Finals?
Right.
Really, scheduling is powerful because you schedule things that are important,
Right.
that you want to intentionalize.
Right.
And I mean, if you were single and somebody came to you and said, I want to make three or four dates with you this week, let's get them on the schedule. And some can be one. That's what Stacy and I would agree. We'd agree to a number, and then I'd say, okay, and one time will be spontaneous that I instigate, and that helped. It was fun, but it was also like, okay, some of those are dates, so we're gonna watch a movie together. We like to watch Dateline, so we'll order Uber Eats and watch Dateline and
Murder mystery going on.
Yes, I know. It gets you looking at your spouse through the corner of your eye, like, don't get any ideas.
Yeah.
But you know, having a plan, to me, gets you on the same page. That's why I think the Bible says, write the vision and make it plain. There's something to something being written and having it dependable for both people.
Yeah.
That's why making a date or making an appointment is going, okay, this is a priority to both of us, and we're going to make it happen. We put each other first.
My thing is quality time. I just want to spend some time where you're not doing. Now, Charlotte's a doer.
Yeah.
She can hardly sit down and watch a movie without doing.
Yeah.
I'm going, that distracts me. Sit by me. Be there. And it's hard for her to do that. And it's just scheduling those kind of times to say, let's just not do anything but be together.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking about a sexual sense. I'm just talking about quality time, doing stuff that we enjoy together. And I know in marriage, one of the things that we kept always was a date night.
Yeah.
Every week we had a set date night, even when we had little kids, set date night, so that we had that time together. We scheduled it and made sure, nothing impacts our date night.
Well, some people may think, especially women, because we have this knight in shining armor idea, that like through telepathy or whatever, a man should just get me and he should just know what it is I want and when I want it. Yeah. And I think, first of all, that's ridiculous. But the other side of it is you have to believe somewhere inside that you are worthy of receiving love to be able to verbalize, these are my expectations.
Yeah.
This is how I feel loved.
Yeah.
And you think you're taking the shine off of it by saying that. But I did have to say to Stacy early in our marriage, flowers are a big deal to me.
Yeah.
I need you to send me flowers, because then the romantic part, I'm doing my part with the physical touch, but I also need to know that you think of me in other times, when that's not an option.
Yeah.
And birthdays are a big deal to me. I want you to buy me gifts. I like rings. These are the things. Here's a list of the things that I like. You can never go wrong if you do these things. And it was helpful because that's all he wanted. He just wanted some ideas.
Yeah.
And I realized once I told him those things, it felt almost artificial, but I forgot the things I put on the list. So Mother's Day came around, and I got the pink KitchenAid mixer that I put on the list last year. And it felt like, okay, he remembered the things that are important to me. So I think a lot of women are like, I just want him to get it. And that's not fair.
Right.
That's really not fair to relationships. So I think verbalizing it is really important, and you don't have to wait till you get mad or disappointed to say it. I think it's an important conversation. Just say, these are some things that I like, and pass it on.
No.
Yeah, I want to go back. You're talking about scheduling the dates and stuff like that. For a lot of people, and this is me, right? Financially, it's sometimes like, I don't know if we can go out of that because we have kids, right? So we got to get a babysitter, and we got to go out to a restaurant. It's going to cost hundreds of dollars. Like, it can just get expensive. But I think it's important to know that you don't have to have these amazing dinner. It's just the coffee. Or sometimes our kids will create us a little date in the backyard. But it's just scheduling those times.
For us, being 41 years, we've come to that place where, we just know each other so well. But when just nebulous, stupid little arguments, I mean, stupid things, start, man, we're out of sync. You're bickering about little things that have no meaning at all. So now we're at the point when we start that, we go, man, what are we doing?
Yeah.
None of this matters. Why are we fighting? And so we've learned to just stop ourselves in the middle of bickering. But we know when these little picky things start happening, or we just ignore each other.
Yeah.
We don't say anything to each other. We go, come on, what are we doing here?
Yeah.
And we just talk about that.
Once you decide nobody's going anywhere, divorce is not an option.
Right.
Are we really going to sit here and waste time being mad at each other?
Yeah.
I mean, it's not worth it. I'm not going anywhere. You're not going anywhere.
Yeah.
Let's just get along.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of forgiving to make marriage work. A lot.
Yeah.
And there's no way that we could calculate even that. God would know.
Yeah.
But it's worth it to forgive and move on and realize I've needed a lot of forgiveness too.
Yeah.
And that's how you keep unity, is really forgiving, not just making things look okay on the surface.
But it's so easy. Like I said, the enemy does everything he can to disunify us. But we have to, as a couple and as a marriage, just to fight for unity.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely.
Very good.